Hi, I'm Nicole Corrado. I am running for mayor of Beaconsfield, Quebec. As asked, your predecessor, George Mayoral, began a lawsuit against the City of Montreal regarding overcharged taxes, a case that has now grown to a $20 million claim. If elected, what is your strategy for moving forward with? Well, actually, my strategy would be to defund the police. And that might seem odd, but it actually makes sense because police take the majority of the agglomerated budget. Most police calls are not for criminal matters. Most of them are for mental health. And mental health wellness calls, the police are not trained to manage those cases. In Toronto and in Halifax, they have non-police civilian alternatives to policing that are used to respond to mental health calls. In Toronto, they have the Toronto Community Crisis Service, and in Halifax, they have the Halifax Cares program. Now, of course, defunding police does not mean no police. It would be a partial defunding. So it would only be defunding the portions that are for the non-criminal matters that could be replaced with a non-police service. For example, missing person cases, you always have to have some police there because it can easily become a criminal matter. But you could reduce the amount of police there by bringing back Sauvetage Beaconsfield. If you had Sauvetage Beaconsfield brought back and augmented it with Sauvetage Point Claire and Sauvetage Bay Durfee, you would not have to have as many police searching for missing persons, and missing persons would be found a lot faster, and you would save a lot more lives. So having alternatives like volunteer citizens on patrol, Sauvetage Beaconsfield, and a community crisis service for mental health, you could easily reduce the police budget significantly, and you could probably immensely reduce the amount of agglomerated taxes that are being put in. There will be other areas too, like animal services, that could be augmented. Currently, Beaconsfield has a tiny dog pound at 303A Beaconsfield Boulevard, but if you had animal services that could rescue all kinds of animals, then you could probably reduce the amount of police calls for dog bites, for other issues. The second question is, what is your vision for urban planning in Beaconsfield? For urban planning, I could see more mixed use, residential mixed with commercial. There's not enough of a commercial setting in Beaconsfield. I really like the Point Claire Village in Point Claire and the village in St. Anne de Bellevue, which is like a mini Point Claire village. We have a little bit of that with the Beaurepaire village, but we could have more of that if we had more mixed use, residential mixed with commercial. We could do soft densification. That would bring in more taxes, and it would bring in more incentive for services. Certainly some of the businesses in Point Claire Village, they all have people living upstairs. In Beaurepaire Village, we could do the same thing. We could have people living in the commercial settings. They could live in the upstairs area. We could also allow for soft densification. We could have people living in garages We could have people living in basements. We could have people living in granny suites, so garden suites. We could have people building into the gardens, into the garages. So having soft densification within already established areas. That would also save a lot of trees. I would absolutely protect Angel Woods and all of the other natural areas. It says, Borough Repair Village is a vital part of Beaconsfield identity and economy. What concrete steps would you take to support local merchants and help the village thrive? Well, I actually live really close to Borough Repair Village. It's just down the street from where I live. I go there all the time. I think I already explained that with Borough Repair Village, I would expand upon it, but also allow people to live upstairs so that people could live where they work. People could also rent apartments in the commercial buildings. Instead of just renting them out to businesses all the time, you could rent them to people, so people could actually live there, and then people could get jobs at the local businesses. They could work where they live, and you could also incentivize people to buy more local. The other thing is the bull market. It's wonderful, the farmers market, but it's really expensive. And I would suggest that the bull repair market be at a more affordable rate. The MAC market, which sometimes comes there, is affordable. So I would absolutely suggest that the Borough Repair Village market be made affordable for everybody. It would also make Borough Repair Village more accessible. The bus stop, it has a ramp to it, but the garbage can is in the way of where you would get in. So I would move that to the other side so that you could easily access it using a wheelchair. I think making Beaconsfield more accessible is what I would like to do. And that way more people can come into Borough Repair Village. I would like to say that not everybody in Borough Repair Village is rich. I'm not rich. I rent a basement apartment on disability, and a lot of people don't have a lot of money. The people who are living upstairs, they're visiting the Ukraine right now, but they're Ukrainian refugees. They don't have a lot of money. Not everybody in the area is rich, and I think that I wish Borough Repair Village were more affordable so that people who live there could actually use it. I'd like to see more jobs available in Borough Repair Village. I'd like to see it become more on the map, and it's right on the bus lines. It's on the not the 411, but it's on the 211 and the 200 and the 405. So it's really easy to get to, and I would just suggest that more people come into Borough Repair Village to shop there and to use the businesses, because you know, you could come in from Bay Durfee or Point Clare really easily to come there, but I think a lot of people from Point Clare, they usually go to the Point Clare Village, so there is some competition there. But a lot of people would be coming in from Bay Durfee. I mean, they might go to St. Anne de Bellevue, but they may also come to Borough Repair Village. So this is something that is really close to home to me because I live there. So yes, I would want more people to come to Borough Repair Village. If elected mayor, I would like to have an accessible Beaconsfield. I would also like to have a Beaconsfield that's including everybody, including the animals. One of the things that concerns me is that Beaconsfield Dog Pound is very small. It only has 3 cages. While the animals are not kept there very long, they're usually not kept there for more than 2 hours. They can be in those tiny cages for up to 3 days. And the other thing is the Beaconsfield Dog Pound only caters to dogs. It only has 3 cages. It's behind Urblander Annex at 303A Beaconsfield Boulevard. If elected mayor, I would have the Beaconsfield Dog Pound be expanded to be an animal services. I would move it to the library once the new library is built. I would move it to the old library location, and I would have microchip clinics and spay-neuter clinics and vaccine clinics and a pet food bank, and also free pet training and services for cats and other animals and wildlife. The other thing I want to do is make Beaconsfield fully accessible. I would add a bus along Elm, and I would also add a ramp at Garborough Repair and add an elevator and ramps at Gar Beaconsfield. I would also add tactile signage and add a sensory-friendly component to the city.